Okay, well, JVC R-S33 Stereo Receiver Super A. Nice looking receiver, probably from the late 70s, early 80s, if I had to guess. I should look it up to find out what's going on. I guess this customer picked this up at a local thrift shop for 25 bucks. I mean, that's a nice looking receiver. Looks like it's rated at possibly 40 watts per channel into 8 ohms. Maybe only 28. I'm not sure if that 40 turns red and the 28's the green. Anyhow, nice looking receiver, analog tuning. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have a digital display, so pretty nice there. It is missing the volume knob, but it's just a slider. And then back here on the back, AM antenna, not broken off. No one has used it as a carrying handle. That's excellent. 75 ohm or 300 ohm FM and external AM antenna. Looks like it has tape 1 in and out and tape 2 play only and a phono input. So CD player could be connected to it quite easily. But yeah, JVC stereo receiver R-S33, 190 watts. I wonder if that serial number means anything. 126445756. Maybe 81, as late as 81? Could it be? I'm not sure. Anyhow, I guess somebody tested it. Maybe the thrift store said they tested it, but I don't want to power this thing up before, number one, just simply doing an ohm measurement on the output transistors and the main filter caps, just to see if any of those might be shorted. And I'm not going to dim bulb this thing, but I will bring it up slowly on a variac while watching the current draw, just to make sure it's not drawing excessive current. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop the covers off and get to the board where I can measure the junctions of the output transistors. One moment. Okay, well, definitely got the top off. Looks okay inside. I'm a little concerned about the amount of rust on that transformer, but it does look like the laminations over here are okay, so hopefully we'll be fine on that. Nice big old school tuning capacitor, open gang. Too bad it does not have a tuned RF AM section. That would be awesome. Possibly needing a set of lights right there, plus miscellaneous incandescents, most likely to show the modes that it's in. But yeah, definitely got a lot of crud over here on the power, or the power amp board, I should say. I was going to say power supply. Looks like I might have some of that nasty glue that solidifies and becomes conductive. Why do companies use that? Just use RTV silicone. It'd be so much nicer, but yeah, some spider webs. Are these the transistors that have moisture intrusion over time? I don't think they are. I think they were the little ones like Kenwood used that were gray and blue, if I'm not mistaken. But first thing I think I'm going to do is take this thing out and just blow it out and try to get all the cobwebs out of it. So one moment. Now, it's probably hard to tell on camera, but it does look about 3 1/8% better than it did. Probably scrape some of that glue off down there. So like I said, the first thing I want to do is check the junctions on these output transistors to make sure that we don't have a shorted output somewhere. So flipping this thing over, I removed the panels on the bottom. So up in there, you can actually get to the junctions of the transistors quite easily. Back when they made stuff you could actually service. So let me get this thing set up right here and try to get zoomed out and get a ohm meter set up on the diode scale. We'll just move it over there. And then here is an random ohm meter. Put it on diode. Nothing's been powered on yet. So let's see. Move the leads around. So maybe, nope, not a junction. That's a junction, 554. So that's 0.554 volts. 0.546, perfect. We'll go to this one, should be the same. No, are they yeah, they're opposite, that's right. 531 and 542, and collector emitter is open. So we should get base collector here, 558 and 562. And then base collector, base emitter, perfect. Collector emitter, not shorted, not shorted, not shorted, and I already checked that one. Not shorted. Now for the filter caps that live over here somewhere, I thought. Can we even get to them? They live back in here. So basically, I just want to go ahead and make sure we don't have any shorts. We'll just put it in ohms. That's one filter cap. Definitely not shorted. Not shorted. Got 2 megs. So it is holding some kind of a charge. That's good. Even though I have not powered this thing on. Yeah, it has 0.2 of a volt. After setting for God knows how long. Months? Years? Maybe? I don't know. Customer didn't tell me when he picked it up. It's been here a few months. Just trying to get caught up on a couple of things. So I think we'll go ahead and just power it on and watch the current draw and see what happens. One moment. Okay, so I do have the power button pressed on the front of the unit. I have it plugged into my Variac, and the power has been applied, but it is at 0 volts. So I'm going to slowly ramp up the voltage while watching the current. And we did get a speaker relay click, so that's a good thing. It might be drawing just a little more current than I would like to see. We're pulling about 125 watts right now, which seems just a tad excessive for idling. We'll let it cook for just a moment. And I'm wondering, are we getting warm on the heat sink? I do believe one channel is warming up faster than the other one, which should not be at this no load connected stage. Seems to be holding fairly steady, however. Let me get a voltmeter. We'll set it up down here where maybe you can see it. And we'll just measure the voltage across these emitter resistors. 14 millivolts. Try not to blow anything up in the process. 15 millivolts. This is the one I think is drawing way too much current. Yes, 320 millivolts. And 308 millivolts. Definitely got a bias regulation issue. I'm just going to back the current down quite a ways. And then let me try to find a little screwdriver somewhere, and we will work that pot back and forth, which is going to be the bias pot. Maybe it's just dirty. I can actually bring it down all the way to 0. So let me bring the voltage back up. That looks much better. And we'll go ahead and check the emitter resistor. Yeah, 12 millivolts. I'm happy with that. Dial it up. I can go down to 12 millivolts. And then it was up at like 300. Yeah, big difference. Big difference. Maybe it just needs a bias adjustment. Maybe that was the whole problem. So I'm going to let it sit here and cool down a little bit. Definitely this side of the heatsink is much warmer than this side is, just because of the bias offset. In fact, I'm going to try to find a service manual on this unit and see what the bias adjustment setup is. Normally you leave it on for a certain amount of time or drive it with a certain power and then adjust the bias within a certain amount of time. So let me research that and we shall get back to you. One moment. Okay, well, I've had it running for a few minutes here. It seems to be idling quite nicely now. Very cool on both channels. But I did connect speakers up to it, and hard to see the volume, but it's down here. As I turn the volume up, I get a change in high frequency only. So all the way down, I basically get AM radio. As I increase it, it turns to FM radio because of the high frequency roll off. And I did notice I moved this just a little bit, and it appears to have either a cracked circuit board or some bad connections. As I move this thing around, both channels are popping. It doesn't matter really where I put the volume, it never increases the volume. So I'm thinking we might be looking at a cracked circuit board somewhere if I had to guess. But at least it does power up. Let me get that bias adjustment real quick and see if we can take care of that, or is that going to be another issue for this customer. One moment. Okay, so I did go ahead and bring out the Fluke 87 because it has a much better low millivolt measurement than the 117 or 115 does. And I did print out instructions. Wow, way blown out there. Allow the set to warm up for 5 minutes. Must keep the heatsink cooling to prevent overheating and consequent destruction of the semiconductor junction, and set the volume control to minimum during these adjustment procedures. In parentheses is the right channel adjustment. Turn R737 and 738 fully counterclockwise before the power switch on. Connect a vacuum tube voltmeter to test point L channel and LE, and adjust R737 for a reading of 5 millivolts, and then in parentheses R channel and R channel E, RE. Okay, well, I do have it set up. It's been powered on for the past few minutes, and I did turn these both counterclockwise, so let's dial this up to 5 millivolts. Okay, we'll switch it over to the other channel, hopefully without shorting anything out in the process. This one is a hair touchier than the other channel is. Okay, there we go, 5 millivolts. Idling current looks good. Power draw looks good. So at least the amplifier seems to be working properly. I guess at this point I'll need to get a hold of the customer and see if they want to address the issue with the audio problem. It does have a slight amount of hum. Might have a failing cap over here somewhere in the preamp circuit. Definitely maybe some bad grounds, but I'm not sure. Disconnect the speaker there. I'm not sure why we're not getting audio as we run the volume up and down over here. So like I said, might be a crack in the circuit board. Have to do a close visual inspection, but at least that's a initial diagnosis of the JVC R-S33. Go ahead and leave me a question, a comment, a concern down below, good or bad. I do try to respond to the comments when I have time. While you're down there, if you could, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. It does help my channel grow. You can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X at norcal715. You can email me, norcal715videos@gmail.com. As of right now, it's like just after Halloween 2025. If you want to get a hold of me, please just go ahead and leave me a comment in one of the videos. That is the best way to reach me. Remember, with your help, we can try to keep these things out of the landfill, out of the recycle bin, and out of the e-waste facility. Everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the diagnosis portion of this video at least. Hopefully there will be a part 2 and maybe a part 3 depending on what I find. Everyone have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.